feels like, in any way, it feels like Kyrie may not be back, then that's going to probably prohibit them from throwing Jason Tatum's name into a trade offer because they're going to need him to build around. And so that might kind of handcuff the Boston Celtics, or at least make the Pelicans think twice about whether or not the Celtics offer is really going to be there in July. And if they have any sort of qualms about that, if they feel like it may not be there, then that gives them more incentive to trade right now with the Lakers. So
this perspective is very interesting to me. I know how to turn my microphone on, by the way, but I forgot there. Listen, I think the Lakers know the Celtics are a little dinged up here from a trade perspective. And Trevor made the point. Kyrie Irving is kind of playing flake now, and if they don't think he's going to sign, then they're going to want to hold on to some of these really good young assets. He mentioned Jason Tatum, but what about those guards, Jaylen Brown and Smart and those guys? So it could be tougher for the Celtics to offer that huge package. Now, I went through the inventory of first-round picks that the Celtics have. It's incredible. So they can make a huge offer. They can make a huge offer to the Pelicans, who have said they want 4 first-round picks. So what is your thought at this point? Are we going to see the Celtics get involved? He said the Lakers aren't going to chase. Basically, he made it sound like if the Lakers get them before the trade deadline or not at all. Where do you feel we are on the Celtics, and then what happens here with AD?
I think the Lakers will do where it takes to get AD. They've been bidding against themselves all week long. I mean, the deal changes every day. First it started out with 3, then with 4 players. It was up to like 7 players and a draft pick. Then it was like 6 players and 2 draft picks.
I'm pretty sure the Hollywood sign is part of the trade at this point.
Yeah, I think they get Jack Nicklaus for like a year to sit on the bench with the team if they take the trade. With Boston, it's interesting because everybody's like, oh, the pieces in Boston are so much better. I like Tatum. I see Tatum as a very good player, but I see Tatum as an all-star player, not an elite, not like a game-changing elite player. At the same time, I can see Kuzma hitting the same level as like a Tatum can.
See, I don't. I think Tatum is a better player than Kuzma. I think Kuzma kind of gets that Jason Williams and some of those other star players, not star players, but players on teams. Somebody's got to get the points. Somebody has to look good. Jason Tatum looks good on a team of really good other players, and I think he's a better player than Kuzma ever will be. So, and if you can get Tatum and maybe 3 first-round picks, that to me is a better deal than
Danny Ainge is not going to mortgage his future. He's going to sit there and he's going to constantly try to put out a winner. He's not going to throw away all them picks to get one player.
Especially since what we've heard is that he does not want to be in Boston, he being Anthony Davis. He gave his list of teams. It was both LA teams, Milwaukee for some strange reason, and a couple other places. But Danny Ainge is a risk taker. I think Danny Ainge is the kind of guy, maybe not 3 picks, but he'd roll the dice for what he thinks is fair on the off chance or on the belief that he can get Kyrie to sign, he can convince AD to play in Boston, and boy, would that be a heck of a team for a lot of years.
Well, you got to look at, are you going to have Kyrie there? Because Kyrie sounds like he's packing. I mean, it really does sound like he's packing up. And he's even made love letters to LeBron lately about playing with him again. I mean, that could be your get AD to LA, and Kyrie could be your almost max deal if they nuclearized it.
But look at it this way, though. Kyrie is flaking back to, oh, I love LeBron. And what's to stop him in 2 weeks from going back to, oh, I love Boston? We're kind of looking at his intentions now as being final or real or reliable, and nothing about Kyrie Irving has been reliable since he's been in the NBA.
The man thinks the world's flat. Let's just stop there.
I don't think he thinks that.
It's just, this whole thing is somehow the NBA has to figure out a way to get control of its league again. That's all. That's what this shows you, is that the players have way too much control.
Well, and there are 2 topics there that we want to get into: the Kyrie Irving and the NBA's maybe perceived issue of being too much under player control. The Lakers locker room has that perception too. After the game with Golden State, which we also had Jelly Beans on, thank you very much, there was a confrontation between Luke Walton and Lakers players. I asked Trevor Lane about that, and here's what he had to say.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I do think Luke makes it through the season. It's tough to trade your coach or to swap out your coach midway through the season and expect to really have sustained success. That's not easy. As far as next summer goes, I don't know that he's back next summer. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, and we've been hearing a lot about LeBron's camp not liking Luke or wanting someone else in there. And so it'll be unfortunate if that happens. I think he's done a pretty solid job, especially on the defensive end of the floor. He's brought the team together on that side, even if the offense hasn't looked great. But yeah, there was a little bit of a situation last night, and I think it got blown out of proportion a little bit, which these things tend to do. There was just a heated argument between Luke Walton and then some of the veterans on the team. Actually, one of the younger guys too was JaVale McGee, Michael Beasley, and Josh Hart, who were all upset. Luke was talking about having the guys share the ball, and that he felt like guys weren't sharing the ball enough, and those guys took exception to that, and so they had a little bit of an argument over it. And that's these are things that happen. I mean, this is an NBA season. These guys are with each other all the time. They're playing in high pressure situations. So many of these guys are on 1-year contracts too, so they're playing for their NBA lives. In addition to all these trade rumors, every single Laker has had their name come up in a trade rumor over the last week or so. And so as the trade deadline is getting closer, that pressure is mounting as well. So you put all of that together, and then you put a difficult loss to the Warriors where it looked like things were going well, and then kind of the bottom falls out from under them. And you can imagine where they're going to be frustrated, and there's maybe going to be some finger pointing and some issues, and that's something that you would see on just about any team, but in this case, it happened to get out, and so it became a bigger deal. But from everything I've heard, once the argument was done and over with, everybody kind of vented. They had shared their take, and that was it. That was the end of it, and they're good, and they're moving on from here. So we'll see. I mean, we'll keep an eye on it. And if anything else comes up, then maybe it does fester into a bigger problem. But for right now, it kind of sounds like it was much ado about nothing.
An interesting thing that Trevor said there was that he thinks Walton keeps his job through the year. I think if they make the trade, that's probably true. I don't think they're going to make the trade for Anothny Davis and then not give Walton a chance to coach that team, since, as we've all talked about, I don't think it's going to the finals this year or anything like that. And I also agree with him about the locker room thing. There's a lot of pressure on these guys. And it wasn't just the young players, too. He mentioned JaVale McGee. These are veteran players who, their names are getting thrown out there. They're going to have to find new homes. They came to Los Angeles to play with LeBron, and now that entire team is being scrapped. Do you agree with Trevor's take that the locker room confrontation is nothing, or do you think there's something more there?
Well, I would have agreed if they didn't lose by 42 tonight. Like, they lost by 42 to Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is, like, very well depleted. This is the problem you have when you get a superstar like LeBron on your team. LeBron, I'm not saying it wasn't his fault with the locker room, but LeBron handles everything he does through the media. It's not like he handles it backdoor. No, he does his cryptic tweets. He does his uninterrupted or whatever on Bleacher Report. He's always got some kind of cryptic message going on. This is how it is to play with LeBron. And remember, a lot of veterans that play with LeBron said, you wanted to do this. This is not always going to be what you think. It's not all, sunshine and roses. There's a lot of problems that come with it. They're going to find out, and some of these young players might not like the way he handles it and might not want to deal with it. But for 4 years, you got this. This is what it's going to be. Everything that happens to the Lakers, and it's a big media market, so it gets out anyways. But LeBron's going to be into a punch. He's going to be like the CNN reporter gets a,
Look,
call in the middle of the night, show up here.
This was nothing to do with LeBron. This really has, I think, to do with Luke Walton trying to continue to coach his team and the players not ready for it. Right? No. The players just didn't want to hear pass the ball more. Look, they lost to a Golden State team that they had beat. They're already frustrated, and boom. You and I have been in locker rooms before. This stuff happens. I don't think it's going to, like Trevor said, fester. I think it will go away. But Luke Walton, he's not going to be here next year. They're going to have another guy.
42 tonight. That's all I'm going to say is they lost it. That's the worst loss in LeBron's career. And he played 30 minutes. But, I mean, it's just going to – I don't think Luke Walton makes it through the year, by the way. I think if the Anothny Davis thing happens, Luke Walton's fired when that happens. If they don't get Anothny Davis, then Walker will make it. Then he'll make it through the year.
I would be surprised if Magic Johnson pulls the trigger that quick. When that happened in Cleveland – and I think that's our frame of reference. We saw mid-season coaching changes in Cleveland. that was under Dan Gilbert and whatever puppet he had his hands stuffed up as the GM. Yeah. So I don't know that Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka are going to do that to Luke Walton, because think about the bad image that made for Cleveland. That's just not a good look. So I don't think they're going to do that to Luke, but they might if there was championship aspirations, and there just shouldn't be and probably won't be. So we'll see what happens there. Overall, I think that Trevor did a great job of covering the Lakers. As I mentioned before, while we were on the phone, the Rodney Hood trade happened. And, of course, we're a Cleveland-based program. I wanted his thoughts on the trade and kind of where Cleveland goes next.
Yeah, so they picked up, Wade Baldwin and Nick Stauskas in exchange for Rodney Hood, and then plus they got a couple of second-rounders. And Rodney Hood, he signed his qualifying offer. He probably wasn't going to stay in Cleveland with the Cavs this summer. So, I mean, you got to like this move for the Cavaliers. They're not worried about winning so much right now. Of course, winning games is always nice, but they don't, they're not particularly concerned with that. They're in asset accumulation mode. And if you can get something, a real asset, second-round picks for a guy who isn't going to be part of your long-term future, then you got to count that as a win. Is it this big home run move and suddenly the Cavs are back and they're playoff bound? No, but these things do matter. These little moves add up over time. You get enough of these, and it can add up to a lot. This is what the Brooklyn Nets have done. They haven't had draft picks because of their horrible trade with the Celtics years ago. So they haven't really had any top draft picks, and they've had to kind of scratch and claw their way through by making these little moves. They're if we want to use baseball analogy, they're hitting singles, but they do add up over time. And I think that's what the Cavs are doing. It's a smart move by them. And yeah, so I think that's a sign that they're on the right track, and I'm curious to see what they do from here, because there's a few more contracts that they could move by the trade deadline in similar deals to get some small assets that could really help them out moving forward.
Trevor made a really good point there, and that is the Cavs aren't going to become a championship team here next year. They just don't have the talent on the team. Kevin Love is the star of the team, and he's hurt, and he's old, and he's on a bad contract that we won't move for 2 years. Sexton looked good tonight. This is the first time I watched Cavs game in a while. He's improved a lot. Yeah. They're going to have a good draft pick. Maybe it's a top draft pick. And if they have these other little assets, these are those singles that can lead to a couple runs. To mix sports analogies, what do you think of what the Cavs are doing and what Trevor had to say about their moves here?
Look, up until Thursday morning, it's a fire sale in Cleveland. I mean, come in, get what you want, just leave something at the door. Draft picks, exemptions, whatever you want. They have to sit there and they have to pile up exemptions. They got to get draft picks. And they're basically going to have to get a good, solid core through the draft and get lucky enough to get a veteran enticed to come here. That's the only way because the NBA right now, unless you're near an ocean or in the biggest city, nobody wants to come play with you.
We have never landed a big free agent here, ever.
Kevin Love. Well,
we traded for him.
That's right.
We've never landed a big free agent here, and I don't know that we ever will. We're going to have to, like you said, get lucky in the draft and maybe get somebody to come here, a young player maybe. I remember back before LeBron came back, Chandler Parsons was the target. They were hoping to get him before he peaked. Yeah. He didn't become the player everybody thought he would, but that type of deal, that type of thing, and you're going to overpay for that. They were going to give him a max deal. Luckily, LeBron came back, won us a championship, and we did not have the Chandler Parsons era that we were supposed to have.
Well, and that's the problem, right? That's the whole problem in the NBA is with the players running it and doing what they want. They call their friend and they say, hey, I hear this city's really nice in the summer. It's not too cold. What do you say we go get Hal?
Right. Yeah. I think it's going to be tough for the Cavs to rebuild a winner. We're going to come back with a lot more NBA thoughts. We have a lot of other things to get to with the Cleveland Browns. This is Bad Friend Choices. That was Trevor Lane. Please listen to him on LakersNation.com. Read him there as well. And also, he's a great Twitter follow, Trevor_Lane. I want to thank him for joining my program and thank him again for being here on Bad Friend Choices. I'm John O'Donnell. That is Rick Carpenter, and we will be right back.